This is Austin St. John, Jason, the original Red Ranger. You are watching the Morphin Network.
Steve, how are you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. So much. Thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Awesome. So how's the weather there?
Weather here has actually been pretty decent. I'm working out of just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina right now. I live in Houston, but for the construction job that I've got, they've got me just a little bit north of Charlotte right now.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Ryan, aka Dagger Boy, here at Morphin Network, and we're here my partner Kent Brown, Kaiser Red, and we have a very special guest. You might have known him as, or might not known him as Babu, the Mighty Morphin villain, the black monkey or the little monkey next to Rita Repulsa. From Mighty Morphin 2 and 3, Steve Andreno. Steve, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate you. Glad to spend some time with you and hopefully a bunch of fans.
Awesome. So let's get and restart. So, Steve, can you tell us about yourself?
Okay. Well, I'll be turning 50 the end of August. The acting that I did, I started off acting in college, doing a little bit of theater work, which is what got me into the acting bug. I moved out to California just before I turned 21. A couple of years in, met somebody that was so excited about having just moved to California because she wanted to be an actress. And I'm like, wait a minute, I like acting. I live just outside LA. I need to do this again, too. And, one thing led to another. That's how I ended up getting cast as Babu on Power Rangers. Did a couple other little bit extra work here and there. Never turned into anything else. But you know what? Nobody can take Babu away from me.
Awesome. I mean, that's really cool. Like honestly, me, I didn't even know you were Babu. That's actually when I get found from Kent. So that was actually good to know. And here,
I have the same reaction. So, how did you get interested in acting?
When I went away to engineering school for 1 year, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute up in Troy, New York. Got there, although I was good in math and science in high school, wasn't really ready for it in college. Just wasn't motivated, just wasn't disciplined enough. A friend of mine that I met up there literally all but dragged me to the local theater audition that night, one night. Said they're doing auditions for the play. Why don't you come on down? I'm like, I've never acted before. I'm not going to do this. He's like, no, come on, it'll be fun. I'm like, no, it won't be fun. He goes, look, we're going to go to a party afterwards. Let's just go hang out for a little bit, read for the part. I'm like, okay. So I went there. I read for this part. Didn't know anything about it really. Went to the party. A couple of days later, I'm walking back from another party past the theater, and I poke my head in, and the director's like, oh, good, I'm glad you're back, Steve. I want you to read this part again. Okay. I wasn't exactly 100% in control of my facilities at that point, having been to a frat party. I remember reading for it. I remember going back to my dorm room. I remember being woken up by banging on my door at 7 o'clock in the morning, which I was really not ready for. And it was my friend Ron telling me I had got the lead in the play.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, I didn't believe him. I told him, no, look, I'm too hungover. This is not funny. And he's like, no, I'm serious. They posted the cast list. You got the lead. Wow. All right, I'm going to get dressed just to prove you wrong. I'll go along with the joke. And I got the lead in the play. And from then on, I absolutely loved it.
That's good to hear.
Nice.
That's actually a good story to hear because I know a lot of people they did an art major like me. I was a public health major. Well, technically, I was supposed to be nursing, but forced by my parents. But I was more into like media and also something in science and public speaking. And thanks to my passion for it, I switched it. And yeah, so your story is a great inspiration. And I can relate to that.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Hope I can inspire other people to follow their dreams, even if you don't realize it's a dream. Looking back on it, I can remember in English class in high school when you had to read along with the plays, whether it was Shakespeare or Arthur Miller's The Crucible or things like that. I always enjoyed it, but nobody ever channeled me and said, well, why don't you act? Why don't you try out for the school plays? Nobody ever kind of focused me on it. I kind of wish I'd gotten into it sooner, but hey, things happen the way they do for a reason.
Awesome. Sorry. So speaking of Power Rangers, Can you tell us what was the audition process like?
Wasn't actually an audition process. That's the funniest part of it. I had signed up with the company that hired the extras for the show. Basically, what they call them extras or background. Any of the other kids in the juice bar or in the classroom or the hallways at school or, at the park or wherever they were at. Then they just brought in a bunch of kids every time. The first episode I got called down for was the football episode where Tommy was trying out for the football team, and Bulk and Skull ended up in detention. So when they called me to say, hey, we need you as an extra, 2 days from now, and here's the location, what they said was, we actually need 3 kids that are going to be dressed up as, they called them punks or bad guys, to sit in detention with Bulk and Skull. And I'm like, okay. Now, the show had been on quite a bit at this point. I had originally thought it was only on for a few weeks, but it was a good ways into season 1 by this point. Mm-hmm. But, I had a regular 9-to-5 job. I wasn't, popping a tape in my VCR and taping this new show, Power Rangers, aimed at much younger kids. So I didn't quite know what to expect. When I went there, I had a denim jacket with a painting on the back. I wore like some kind of, like a rock T-shirt. Of course, you couldn't see the band name because that's a whole copyright thing. So I decided purposefully that I wanted to do this, thinking, well, if they're only going to ask for 3 kids to do this, I know for sure I'll be able to see myself in the scene somewhere. Just being silly. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to be seen. I want to be able to go, hey, that's me on TV. Because of that, I did a lot more sitting around because they wouldn't use me in the juice bar or walking through the halls for some of the other scenes they were shooting. As I was sitting around, they said, hey, we got a shoot coming up next week. We need to shoot a scene on location. We need somebody to fit this monster costume. And they're looking like, Steve. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're 5. How tall are you? I said, 5'8". What's your shoe size? I'm size 10. Okay. Well, you want to try this costume on? I'm like, sure. They tried it on somebody else first, and they didn't quite like the way it fit him or how it looked on him. They show me where it is. They zip me up into the costume, and I walk around in it. I'm moving my arms and stuff, and they're all like, well, that looks good. How does it feel? I said, oh, it feels fine. I can move well in it. It's not too tight. And I said, well, how are you with makeup? I'm like, well, I've done theater work before, so I've had stage makeup on. And I go, okay, great. We'll give you a call Monday with the details of where to be and what time to be there on Tuesday. Okay. Again, still haven't seen the show yet. Don't know the monster at all. Next, Monday comes, they call me. We're going to be at Zuma Beach. Be there at 8:00 in the morning. Okay. I get there, an hour in makeup to make me blue, light blue from here up and dark blue from here down. A lipstick, a little bit of white around the eyes. Get in costume. We film the scene. Again, this is for the episode, the scene that never got aired, that got cut. This was for the Mutant Ranger episode where Goldar turns the putties into duplicates of the Rangers. Mm-hmm. Squat and I the scene we shot was we were digging up a chest on the beach that had the dark power coins in them. So they show us digging it up and, hey, we got them. And give like a little high five to each other, and that's it. A couple hours later, I'm done. They're still filming other stuff. They don't need me anymore. So I go, wash up, try to get most of the makeup off. And I say, okay, guys, great. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed doing this. If you need me again for this, for this monster, let me know. I'm like, what do you mean? I said, well, this character, I don't know if this is, how often you use him. They're like, no. This is a regular character on the show. You're it now. And I went, what? Like, yeah, no, we'll be calling you a lot. We use the character. I said, well, define a lot. How often? So no, we usually shoot 2 to 3 days a month, and that will knock out, if we're on set, we can knock off about 5 episodes doing that. And then if we're on location, it's usually just going to be, 1 episode or 1 scene that we shoot. And those are usually shorter days. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I ended up doing that for a year and a half. That covered all of season 2 and all of season 3.
That's really nice.
I think Robert Axelrod had a similar experience. I think he said he loved doing the voice of this one character, and wow, that was fun. He's like, you're you're like the main guy. You're coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, he was Finster, and then of course Zed. Everybody loves Zed.
Yeah. Also, what's cool is you had connections, so you got the job due to connection, and that's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
What was your experience like while filming Power Rangers?
It was a lot of fun. What I did was different than from most of the other actors. You know, obviously with the Rangers, they had more lines. Certainly, obviously the show was about them. Although without the monsters, it wouldn't have quite been the same. So I didn't interact with the Rangers a lot. There were a couple of scenes that we shot where I interacted with the one scene with Kimberly, AJ when Goldar turned her into Rita. Was a fun one. And then the one episode, made the best man for the job, where Tommy and Kimberly both running for class president, and Squat and I tripped them in the park. And there were a couple other scenes, but it was fun. It was, I don't want to say it was easy, but it was just enjoyable. It was a lot less time in front of the camera than you would expect, though. Realistically, over the course of a normal day, which could be anywhere from 8 to 10 to sometimes 12 hours or even more, the most amount of time I spent in the costume realistically was about 4 hours, tops. A lot of time, there were times that I used to have to be in the makeup chair at 5:30 in the morning. So we were ready to start shooting at 7. That gave them time to everybody have breakfast, which best perk of the job. Power Rangers had one of the best catering companies around. And being fed breakfast and lunch, and if you stayed real late, they'd go buy dinner too. That alone was wonderful. But there were times I'd get there at 5:30, go into makeup, and I wouldn't get in front of the camera into the suit till after lunch.
Wow.
So that's a lot of. I'd get there. I had a black spandex suit I would put on, to make it easy to get in and out of the costume. I'd go into makeup, and then it was sit around and wait till they called us. Now there were plenty of times that they'd call and we'd shoot a scene over and over and over and over till they liked it. A lot of times it was, sometimes 1 or 2 takes. I'm like, okay, good. Reset the lights, reset this, and it'd be another hour or 2 possibly before I got in front of the camera again. So what I told people then was I'd get paid to eat, to sleep, to read, and once in a while I actually act.
Well, at least they actually treated you guys good.
Oh, they did. They really did with that.
Do you have any fun behind the scenes moments while filming Power Rangers?
A few. I did say that the most time I ever spent in the costume was about 4 hours. That's not technically true, because there was one day we were shooting on location where I got stuck in the costume. Let me explain. The costume I wore was the original Sentai costume. So when I got into it, it was already 18 years old.
Damn.
They actually would have to repaint and patch the costume the night before they were going to use it so it would be camera ready. Well, they had patched it one day. We're on location in Griffith Park at the caves. It was for one of the scenes where we were supposed to be tending to the Tengas. So I guess it would have been early into 3rd season. As I go to put the costume on, there was a hole in the right wrist on the underside that they had patched. I'm going to put my hand in, and I realize I'm going to have to force my hand into the costume. And I tell them, look, guys, once my hand's in, I said, once I take my hand out, the costume's going to rip. I'm almost going to have to rip the hand off to get my hand out. And they said, okay, great. Thank you for telling us you can't take the costume off. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean I can't take the costume off? I said, we're on location. We have no way to patch it or do anything with it. You need to keep it on. I'm like, okay. And it's like 80 degrees out. It's about 30 degrees hotter in the costume.
Oh, my God.
So they would unzip the back, and I would kind of like hunch my shoulders to kind of open it up a little bit to try to, and they'd have like a fan on me to try to keep me cool. It wasn't terrible. And then lunchtime comes around, and I'm like, guys, the fingernails on the costume, well, the fingernails were about this long. Well, it's going to be hard to see. About two inches longer than the fingers themselves. I'm like, I can't pick up the knife and fork. I can't eat. Now what? I'm like, oh, get one of the PAs to feed you. That's what they're here for.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, oh, I immediately thought of that scene from Clockwork Orange where he's in the body cast and he's all like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that to him. But no, they actually fed me. They understood. They were real cool about it. I didn't, take advantage of them or anything. But and the other question I had is like, what if I have to go to the bathroom? And they're like, well, if you got to go, you got to go. And I'm like, no. Thankfully, I did not run into that situation. I just sweat it all out. That was probably the biggest memory. One of my other favorite ones was the Beauty and the Beast, the episode where Kimberly was turned into Rita. The way they filmed it and the way you see the episode, there's at one point she takes the staff and she like hits Goldar on the head with it, and then she turns around and goes to hit Squat and myself. You can't quite see it because we're behind her and she like turns her back almost completely to the camera. But when she was doing it, she hits Goldar, she turns around and goes to hit me and broke the staff over my head.
Ooh.
And the whole top of it just came off. It was just styrofoam on the wood base or the wood pole. So she hits me with it and says, "Oh my god, are you okay?" Yeah, and I'm like, "Yeah, AJ, I've got 6 inches of foam rubber up here. I'm fine. I didn't feel it."
Any wonder she auditioned for Rita.
Hey, at least you were treated as a prince, so that's actually good to know.
Yes.
Bed and get the food. But yes, anyway.
What are your thoughts on the Power Ranger fandom?
I knew it was a big deal when I started filming. By the end of season 1, it was huge. I kept what I could. I wasn't stealing stuff off the set, but I kept all my timesheets. I kept all my sides and the scripts that we used to shoot. I kept the call sheets, thinking this is something that's big right now. It's going to be cool however many years down the line to say that I did this, having no idea that 25 years later, it's still as big as it is and still going strong. I move around a bit for jobs. When I tell, and I don't tell people right away, but as we start talking about stuff and I get to know people, I'll say something here or there, and then they'll be like, "Wait a minute, what did you just say? You were on Power? You weren't on Power? Yeah, I was a Monster Power. I watched Power Rangers when I was, it's always the first reaction I get, and people are like, "Oh my god, that is so cool." 25 years later, people still know who the character is. People are still happy to meet me. Hey, you guys are happy to be interviewing me. I'm happy to be here. I think the fandom is absolutely incredible that it is this strong this many years later. And realistically, with new shows coming every season and now a new owner, shows absolutely no sign of slowing down, which I love.
Yes.
Yes, right.
I mean, yes, and your character is iconic because I actually remember that when I was a kid, like Babu and Squat. So I always remember. I was actually kind of sad that you guys left mysteriously after season 3, but but anyway.
Baboo before King Mondo turns us into socket wrenches.
Yeah. But anyway.
Remember, you never actually saw what happened to Squat and Baboo, so theoretically, we're still alive somewhere. And if you follow the comics, we definitely are.
Yes. Oh, you actually did read the comics. Oh, that's cool. Hey, Ken, you actually reads the comics. That's actually.
And Scorpina, Sabrina Lou believes her character is still out there, so maybe we'll see Mighty Morphin Evil Space Alien reunion at some point.
Well, I did just see earlier today that Hasbro has announced that they are not going to follow or create a sequel to the Power Rangers movie from 2017, but they're going to reboot it entirely. So I'm going to contact them and say, hey, if you guys want to make another Baboo suit, I'm ready.
You should.
Wait.
Get Steve in the movie.
Yep.
So anyway, speaking of, well, you might already answered this, but maybe more in detail. Can you tell us what was the Babu costume like? Like the
All right, it was mostly foam rubber and then latex on top, and then the paint job was on top of that. My little bone wings on the back never did anything except for one episode, the same day that I was stuck in the costume because we were babysitting the Tengas. Another great scene that never got aired, unfortunately, is Squat and I are playing cards just to kill the time while we're waiting for them to hatch or waiting to feed them or something. Well, whoever was directing had the great idea that my little bone wings in the back, I was holding a couple of extra cards. Squat had cards stuffed in his boot and one on the back of his helmet. Just silly stuff like that. And us arguing about who just won the last hand. Something funny that never got aired. But as far as what else it was like, the head was hot. The way they normally shot the monsters, everybody would be in costume except for their heads. Then they would yell, okay, head up, put the heads on the monsters, places, action. When they yell cut, it would either be an immediate, okay, back to one, meaning we're going to go ahead and reshoot this scene again. Everybody get back to your starting places. Or if they were happy with it, they'd yell, or they needed to readjust something. It'd be, okay, pull the heads. So they'd take the heads off of everybody, so oddly enough, they could breathe. Well, I didn't have that problem, having an open face mask. But that also means my head did not get taken off until we knew we weren't shooting for a while, because doing so would mess up the makeup and then have to touch up the makeup every time I took my head off, which is okay, except for the fact that I had about 6 inches of foam rubber sitting on top of my head, because Babu had the onion-shaped head. Mm-hmm. And if we were shooting for a while, especially on location, when they finally did pull the head, I would just start raining. I would just start dripping. And then they would really have to touch it up.
Damn.
And every now and then, like I said, a couple of days that we didn't shoot right away. There are times, like I said, I lived about 75 miles away from the studio. I lived in Orange County, California. Mm-hmm. They shot not in Hollywood, but in Valencia, which is north of Hollywood.
Wow.
Anybody that's familiar with the area, imagine driving from Disneyland to Magic Mountain.
Yes.
It's about the same thing. They were about 5 minutes from Magic Mountain. I was about 10 minutes from Disneyland. I actually used to work across the street. I worked in the convention center at the time I was filming.
Oh.
So I used to have to leave my house at 4 o'clock to get there at 5:30. And there were definitely times if I wasn't shooting right away that I would, fall asleep. I'd, put my head down but I also had this nasty habit of drooling a little bit when I slept, and they used to yell at me because I'm all made up, ready to go. They wake me up. It's like, oh, hold on, we got to touch up the makeup again. Stop drooling, Steve. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sleeping. I don't know what I'm doing. It was pretty easy to move around in otherwise. Like I said, picking up little things hard with the nails on the costume, and it just being a lot hotter inside the costume, but again, nothing that I would consider difficult. What I saw was difficult was Ed Neal, who played Lord Zed. First of all, that costume was made specifically and only for him. He was the only one that ever got into it. Besides him having the spandex on to get in the costume, they used to have to powder him down.
Damn.
Baby powder on him to get him into the costume. And once he was in, he did not take the costume off until it was time to go to break, time to break for lunch, or it was time to go home. He was in it constantly. Once he was in it, because it was so hard and took so long to get in and out of.
Wow.
Again, I mean, it's hard to imagine, you guys, I mean, going through that. I mean, that's why I have high respect for you guys, especially you suit actors. You guys are also part of a soul of the show. You guys, there is no storyline. So, again, thank you guys for your hard work.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
You have any advice for aspiring actors or actresses?
You guys nowadays, anybody that wants to break into the business has an advantage that I didn't have 25 years ago with cell phones and cameras on computers and YouTube. My advice to you is be creative as often as possible. Don't care about what anybody else thinks about what you're doing. If you have an idea for something, do it, film it, put it up. Doesn't matter if anybody else likes it or not. here's the thing. A lot of people get cast for stuff even if they didn't do well in an audition, or they just, something looks off, but I'm curious to know more kind of thing. Just an off Power Rangers topic story, but Barbara Streisand, when she was first trying to make it as an actress, she had auditioned for something. She was rather young, and she was chewing gum. So she's sitting there, and as she's talking doing the interview, she's chewing gum, and she's trying to snap it a little bit. She's not blowing bubbles, but they can see she's chewing it. And they finally said, excuse me, miss, can you please, get rid of the gum? And she takes it out and sticks it under the stool that she's sitting on. They do the audition, leave. She leaves. They're like, okay, no, we're not going to hire her. They go over at the end of the day to take the gum out from under the chair and realize there's no gum. Oh. That was all an act on her part, and they went, oh my God, she fooled us. Let's get her in here for something.
Wow.
So silly stuff like that. You never know what people are going to like, who the right person is that'll see something. By the same token, unlike other jobs, when you go for an interview and I nailed the interview, or I didn't do so well on that, you kind of usually know what happened, what went wrong, what didn't. Unfortunately, with acting, you will never know. You can impress the director, the casting director, one producer, and then the last producer that has say-so, you may look like their ex. They're not going to hire you for that reason, and you'll never know. You have to be able to take no's. You have to understand that you will never know why you got to know, and you got to plow through it.
Good advice.
Really good advice. Also, talks about perseverance, and being creative. That's really great advice. I will keep that in mind. So thank you for, let's say, you're Babu. So he's technically said he's kind of alive. So if alive, which he is, kind of, you never know what happens. Where do you see your character Babu doing in the current Power Ranger universe right now? In show canon right now.
In show canon right now. Oh. Getting into as much trouble as we can and still get out of. As I explained to Kent when we met at Power Morphicon Express, and as I've come to realize as I'm rewatching stuff now, Baboo and Squat were Bulk and Skull monster form.
Oh my God,
we were there for comic relief. We were going to get in trouble. But when I look back at it, almost everything we were asked to do by Rita or Zed, we did. We accomplished the goal almost every time. But we were seen as we were kind of secondary. We knew we couldn't fight, so we were there to kind of weasel our way in, snag something, and get out without being seen or noticed or confronted. Really, is the best way. So that's kind of still what we'd be doing now. We'd be on the fringes. The Ranger would put something down, they'd go away, we'd sneak in there, take it, and they'd be like, well, wait a minute, where did that go? That's what we'd be doing now. Just kind of sneaking behind the scenes, behind everybody's back, doing whatever little tasks were assigned.
They need to ask you to come to New Zealand and film some cameos.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, you guys, for next season, we need to get you in there. They need to get you in there, so.
I'm definitely ready.
Any upcoming projects or connections you want to share with your supporters?
Conventions, bro.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Well,
you said
nothing I can officially announce as far as conventions go. Obviously, with the new Power Morphicon being announced for Labor Day weekend 2020, it's a little early to officially announce, but my plan is most definitely to be there. Now, what I will say, the dates for that, it being Labor Day weekend, I think it's the 6th through the 8th, will be 25 years to the week that I was last in the costume. The last day I filmed in the costume was September 14th of 1995. So it'll be 25 years within a week.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited about that, and I would be even more excited if I didn't show up alone.
Not to make you feel old, but I was born in '95. Like I'm 2 months after.
That's okay. But see, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm humbled by the fact that I've touched people, that weren't even born when I started doing it, that still know the character and appreciate what I've done. And that to me is amazing. I'll ask people at work, I try to find people that were, like in their mid 30s thinking, okay, you might have been around the right age that would have watched it, or early 30s. I'm getting like 20-year-olds going, oh man, I love the show. Yeah, I love the original episodes the best. So you guys were great. That to me is amazing. As far as other projects, I do have one other project that I'm working on. Ken, I don't know if when you were at PMX, you met with Matt Palmer. He had the booth next to Gaz with the immortal Red Fox.
I think so, yeah.
If you saw him there? Well, he films out of Dallas. I live normally in Houston. I've had some contact with him, and I will be filming at least one episode of Immortal Red Fox Labor Day weekend. This Labor Day weekend, not next year. As basically the head villain, the Dark Lord Shimigami, who my understanding is the equivalent of the Grim Reaper.
Wow.
And his costume was designed by Gaz, who was also at the show. So this being at PMX, we made this little connection. Gaz is designing the costume. Matt's going to help create it and films the show. And he specifically contacted me to do the suit acting and the voice. I actually get to be the voice this time too.
Wow.
I said, as far as other conventions, nothing that's been confirmed yet. I am certainly working. I do have a booking agent who is helping me to try to get me booked at some other shows. I did not have that for PMX. So all I can say is if you follow me on Facebook, which is just Steve Andreno, or on Twitter at Babu Real, or Instagram is also at Babu Real. Any announcements I have coming up will definitely be posted there.
Nice. Congratulations.
Nice. All right, so we have some comments and some questions and some readings from fans. I'll read to you.
While you look that up, can I ask one thing?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So did they build like a little, I think I might have even asked you this before. Did they build like a little set for, you, Squat, and Goldar to sit on? Like they kind of recreated a bit of the Sentai set?
No, we never had a specific area just for us. I mean, we always called it was just the throne room or the palace was where it was the whole set. And it was mostly one big set. There was one little area off to the side, kind of around the corner, which would have been, they used a couple times for Finster's lab. But after first season, all that, of course, was stock footage. They didn't really use Finster's lab too much for second season or third. It was basically just one big open set with the archway, the steps where you saw the putty standing, and behind them was like the open star field.
Mm-hmm.
It was all just one big thing. So there never was anything specific just for like a resting area or a bedroom or a private room or anything like that for the other characters. No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I think like they did at least give Goldar like a background in the first season. Yeah.
Yeah, that in all likelihood was all stock Sentai footage. If there was one or two pieces that were not, it's something that they made specifically for that and took right back down.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. So again, Steve, we have some comments, compliments, comments, and greetings and questions for you from the fans.
Sure thing.
Edward Sanchez says, "Hey, Babu."
Hi, Edward.
Eddie Murphy says, "So what's happening? We're having an interview, bro."
That's it. Hey, took words right out of my mouth.
Bobby Shadow. So it's a non-union show, but they provide catering. Well, that is something.
Yes, I said it being non-union, it didn't affect me one way or the other because if I was doing I was still considered an extra doing what I was doing the suit work. I was considered a special extra or a stand-in. So I got more money than a standard extra would just for being one of the kids in the hallway, which I still did a couple of other episodes. But that wouldn't have differed for me. Now, it differed for the main actors in terms of what their pay was and their contract and getting or not getting royalties for any of the toys or residuals. Residuals is when a show shows rerun. Oops, sorry about that. And I always use the example MASH. MASH, you turn on the TV at 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll find MASH on some channel. Every couple of months, Alan Alda still gets a check from doing MASH because it's being shown somewhere. So anytime episode of a TV is shown, commercials even, every time a commercial is shown, you get, the actor gets paid a small part for it being shown. That's what's called residuals. So, technically, as an extra stand-in, I wouldn't have been entitled to that anyway. Although going forward, having an open face, maybe that's something in other movies or anything else I do, if to do costume work, that I would certainly want written into my contract. But yeah, I didn't have a contract. It was, hey, can you come down today? Yeah, okay, I'll be there, kind of thing. And because I knew if I wasn't, they would replace me. They'd get somebody else. So I had too much fun doing it to not want to do it.
Right. That's good to hear. Steve, did you ever wish that Babu and Squat were given more to do? And were you upset that Squat and Babu disappeared after season 3?
Certainly I would have liked more for us to do. As I said, there's a lot of other scenes I know that we shot, whether they were scripted specifically or not, that didn't get used. So I know we did more. I would like to have seen it. Hasbro, if you're watching, dig through the archives, find the footage, put together a compilation, that's fine. As far as am I upset about them not using Babu and Squat after 3rd season? Technically, I'm going to answer no for a very selfish reason. Right after season 3, within a month after, as I told you, the last day I filmed was September 14th. I was married and moved to Vegas a month later.
Oh.
So a lot of times people ask, well, how come you didn't keep doing? How come you didn't get anything else done with the show? How come they didn't put you in another character or another part in the future? I said, well, they actually might have intended to do that. However, again, 25 years ago, nobody was carrying around cell phones. We had pagers back then. And unbeknownst to me at the time, not knowing how the technology worked, pagers had a limited range. So it worked great when I was in Orange County and in LA and north of LA. But you couldn't call my LA phone number pager and have it buzz when I was living in Vegas. I didn't know this. I'm like, the studio still has my number. I knew we just finished shooting the season. I don't know if they're going to call me back or not, but I've got the pager, and if they do, it's a 4-hour drive from Vegas to LA. I can stay at my mother-in-law's house the night before, my mom's house, and get to the studio the next day. So the plan was, if something were to come up and they were to call me, I would still try to do it. But whether or not they tried paging me, I can't say for certain. What I can say is that when the first convention I did in 2013 was Space City Con in Houston. Again, I did that because it was a local show to me, not knowing how the conventions worked and knowing that a lot of times they'll, fly people in for stuff. So I did it because it was a local show and I actually knew one of the guys that was putting on the show. And that's where I got reunited with some of the actors I had worked with. One of them being Paul Schreier, who of course played Bo. Well, Paul had said to me after I talked to these guys and we were reintroduced and over the course of the weekend, I said, yeah, I always regret that I never was able to keep going with it, but that was kind of my fault. And Paul said to me, he had talked to Haim Saban one day, after, I guess beginning of 4th season or whatever, and Haim says to Paul, whatever happened to my blue guy? So I'm going to assume that means they were trying to contact me for something else. Again, things happen the way they do for a reason, because I have been married for going on 24 years now and have 2 wonderful adult children, 22 and 20. So, I mean, things happen. I'm not going to say, oh, I wish I had done Rangers longer, because that would mean I wouldn't have the life I have now. So, and I wouldn't trade that in for anything.
Right on.
Right on. Good to hear that. Steve, you gotta watch Beginnings Part 1 from Power Rangers SPD. Basically, they used Baboo's head to make a cameo in it. They managed to save that part of him because the rest of the costumes Disney burned, sadly. Also, they burned your costume.
I don't know that Disney burned it. That thing probably disintegrated before Disney even got their hands on it. Like I said, it was the original Sentai costume. It wasn't in great shape to begin with. So if that thing just, turned to dust sitting in a box somewhere, I would believe that anyway.
Well, Sabrina Lou, she thought her Scorpina costume had completely disintegrated, but then there it was at the last Power Morphicon in a glass case. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
still out there.
So I had talked to Scott about it at Power Morphicon, and he seemed to think that it was completely gone too. Maybe they still got the head somewhere, and if they do, and they're interested in getting rid of it, I know someone who would like it.
Ezra, we have it. It's we have the original character here.
That'd make a great centerpiece on your coffee table.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. I would take that with me to all the conventions. If the Rangers get to have their helmets, I want my head.
Awesome. He also says that you had the guys outside a lot too, so film scenes. Some of these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some of these scenes were. Sorry, Steve. Continue.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, we filmed, like I said, the Tenga scenes was caves at Griffith Park. Passing the lantern scene where Squat and I steal all of Adam's the lanterns. Like I said, the scene at Zuma Beach, which didn't get aired. The final face-off, where the one with the face stealer, where we're in the museum stealing the mask, that was actually filmed at the La Brea Tar Pit Museum. And the scene for the exterior was shot at the water treatment plant. I think it's the Tillman Water Treatment Plant, which was also where we shot the scenes for Passing the Lantern. The water treatment plant actually has a botanical gardens there.
Ooh.
So they used the outside of the water treatment for a couple of different episodes. I said off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly all of them, but I know for sure it was the face-off one for sure.
I know that spot. I've seen it in my seasons.
Mm-hmm.
If you can create a Ranger team of your own, which 6 Rangers would you choose that wasn't from your season? Last name pronounced Quish.
Quish. From my season or not from my season? No.
Not from your season.
Oh, okay. Ugh. I'm going to be so bad at the names because, to be honest, I haven't followed as much of the other seasons as I would like. Although I am going to have to start doing that. I'll explain that in a second. Rangers not from my season. Does that mean I couldn't choose Austin coming back as the gold? Gold Ranger.
Actually, you could from Zio. You could,
because technically he's not from my season. I gotta choose just because he was one of the first people that I met and was real friendly to me at the first convention. It was someone I hadn't worked with. I gotta choose Justin from Turbo. Because Blake Foster was real cool with me too, real welcoming. Everybody really was, but I said I had worked with some of the other people, so not having worked with him and him being so friendly. Let's see. I personally like, and I don't remember the character name, but I know Rose McIver was Yellow Ranger. I liked her when she was on iZombie, and I forgot her character name. So I've got a 6th Ranger. I've got a Yellow Ranger. RPM, boy. I'm just gonna start naming people that I know that I've met because, like I said, I haven't necessarily seen all of them. If I need a Pink Ranger, I'm gonna go with Erin Cahill.
Good choice.
Always get chosen. He always gets chosen. That's yeah.
For a Red Ranger, I said I've already got a blue because I've got Justin. For a Red Ranger, I'm gonna go with Brendan Mejia.
Of course. Mm.
Mhm.
One of my good friends.
And now I need a Black Ranger. Huh? I'm gonna have to pick another one that I met at Power Morphicon, not necessarily Black Ranger, but Dwayne Cameron.
I think it was Mercury Ranger. Why do you think we that? He was a Silver Ranger, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so that works. So I've got two off colors.
But yeah, it's a good team. It's a really good team. Well,
That'd be-
it's from Dan Romano again. If you ever come to a convention, it's a comment. If you ever come to a convention in Chicago, I'll bring my Babu costume I'm using for my own Power Rangers films. Oh,
You've
Oh, I
made
forgot.
one. Interesting.
He does have a costume. I actually saw it before.
All right. You need to send it to picture. I want to see pictures. Send it to my Facebook or my Twitter or Instagram. I definitely want to see it, Daniel.
Yeah. So Daniel Romano, if you're watching this, please send your pictures of your Babu cosplay to Steve. I hope you guys can get pictures together.
Like I said, I'm waiting to hear when the next Paramorphicon Express is going to be. I said definitely want to do that one. And like I said, I want to stick to doing primarily Power Ranger conventions.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great doing Space City Con, and yeah, why wouldn't I want to do any convention? But I'd prefer to do a convention where it's the majority of it is Power Ranger fans, because I think they're more appreciative, and those are the people that I want to meet.
Yeah.
I want to meet anybody that's interested. I'll talk your ear off for hours about the show, about things that I've done before or after that. Answer any questions you have. But those are the people who are the most interested, who want to know the most, who ask the most interesting questions.
Mhm.
Not just, how long did it take you to get the suit on? Getting the suit on only took a couple minutes. Makeup took about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, depending. But the suit wasn't any time at all. But more things like that, like who would you be your Ranger team? What, other than your own monster. What monsters did you like to do? Stuff like that. What do you think your character is doing now? That's the questions that I have to stop and think about for a second. That I enjoy.
Yes. I mean, I get what you mean. Yes, I love Power Ranger. Maybe because it is a community feel and feels like a family. So that's why I love Power Ranger type convention. So yes, I see what you mean. So that's pretty much it. Thank you, Steve, for being our special guest. It's a great honor.
Quite welcome again. Thank you guys for having me anytime. And one other thing I do want to say real quick, if we've got time, because I mentioned that I'm going to have to start watching the other episodes of Rangers more. I do have plans in the not too distant future to have a Twitch channel.
Oh.
And then of course post them on YouTube, because I want to do Baboo's Monster Review.
Ooh.
I want to do a channel specifically dealing with all the monsters, whether it's the Ritas and Zeds and Squat and Baboos and the recurring characters, or all the one-offs. I want to basically talk as in-depth as I can about all of them, compare them to one another, who had the best powers, who had the best shot at beating the Rangers. So I'm actually starting to binge, starting with season 1, going through. I'm going to say realistically a couple of months away from starting it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you follow me at Steve Andreno on Facebook or at Babu Reel on Twitter or Instagram, once I have stuff ready, I'll be posting there. I'll let you know when and where to catch me. And hopefully I'll get a lot of you guys tuning in.
That's a great concept, and we will watch it, because we never see that kind of video for monsters. So yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve, where can sorry, continue.
I was saying, like you said earlier, the Rangers are great. The Rangers are the superheroes, but without monsters to fight, not much they can do.
Yes, that is true. That is very true. There'll be no show without monsters.
You could have a monster movie without a hero, but you can't have a hero movie without a monster or a villain of some sort.
Facts.
Yes. Right.
So Steve, where can they find you in social media again? Sorry, I had to say that.
No, it's okay. Facebook is Steve Andreno, no N on the first name. And to be sure, when you're looking it up, my little circle picture should be a Pog picture of Baboo, and my banner picture is me at the booth at Power Morphicon. So it should be pretty easy to figure out, because if you pick another one, it's either my father, who probably not respond very well, or I think someone just created a Steve Andreno page out of I don't know where.
Oh,
So not me, but yeah, look for Baboo. If you see anything Baboo on there, it's me. And then of course my Twitter and Instagram are both at Baboo Real, REAL.
So you guys. So Kent, where can I find you?
You can find me at my regular Facebook page, which is just Kent Brown, as well as Brown_K30. And Ryan, where can we find you?
You can find me at in my Instagram, DancerBoy247, and you can follow us in Morphin Network at Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and also Twitter. And again, Steve, thank you so much, and thank you guys for watching us. So as we say, a goodbye wave. So thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you everything, and this Morphin Network. We're signing out. Bye guys.
See ya.
Bye guys. Thanks again for tuning in.